So, greetings, future doctors. Our topic for today is very important because it will guide you in your practice. So, before I begin, let me read to you a quote from Albert Camus. A man without ethics is a wild beast loosed upon this world. Okay? So, our topic for this lecture is all about the code of ethics of the medical profession as jointly adopted by the Philippine Medical Association and the PRC or the Professional Regulation Commission. Okay? Because the physician is especially now that there is a pandemic, his role is very important. Okay, the physician is a beacon of hope in the face of this impending pandemic. Okay, so let's begin. Preamble. This is a opening statement. So this code of ethics is promulgated to provide the physicians with proper ethical and professional standards in the practice of medicine. Okay, this is a guiding principle to ensure the safety and welfare of patients. This code sets forth the fundamental ethical principles and the professional responsibilities of the physicians towards patients, the healthcare system, the community, their colleagues, okay, their fellow physicians, and the profession, the medical profession. And then allied professionals like the other medical courses, like the nurses, okay, medical technologists, and the healthcare products industry, like the medicines, okay. On entering the profession, a physician assumes the obligation of maintaining the honorable tradition that confers the well-deserved title of a friend of mankind. Okay? A physician, a medical doctor is considered to be a friend of mankind. The physician should cherish a proper pride in the calling and conduct himself or herself in accordance with this code and in the generally accepted principles of the International Code of Medical Ethics. Okay, so this code of ethics of the medical profession is in consonance with the International Code of Ethics. Okay, that is promulgated to guide other medical institution. Okay, let's begin. Article 1, Fundamental Principles. Section 1, the fundamental principles to guide the physician in the practice of their profession. First, principle of respect for life. The right to life is inviolable. It means it cannot be violated. Life is a necessary condition for all other human goods. It must be protected and fostered at all its stages, beginning from conception to its natural end. Okay? So the respect of life um, begins in the womb and ends in the tomb. So in the hierarchy of life, the right to life is the highest right. That is why in our discussion in this principle, it is number 1. Second, the principle of respect for person. Okay, respect for human dignity. Every person has an intrinsic worth and dignity. Trust shall be central to the physician-patient relationship. Okay, fiduciary. This is what you call the fiduciary relationship between physician and patient. It is based on trust and confidence. That is the other name for fiduciary relationship. Physicians shall respect patient autonomy or freedom. Okay? Respect for freedom. Now, the third principle, the principle of social justice. So, all patients have a right to basic health care and a just process in the allocation of resources. Okay? So, we have a notes at the side. So, in jurisprudence or in our jurisdiction, social justice is defined as it is neither communism nor despotism nor atomism nor anarchy, but the humanization of laws and the equalization of social and economic forces by the state so that justice in its rational and objectively secular conception may be at least be approximated. Okay? The laws, okay, the justice is given meaning, okay? Humanitarian application is being integrated to laws and justice. Social justice means the promotion of welfare of all the people. The adoption by the government of measures calculated to ensure economic stability of all the competent elements of society through the maintenance of a proper economic and social equilibrium in the interrelations of the members of the community. Constitutionally, through the adoption of measures legally justifiable or extra-constitutionally, through the exercise of powers underlying the existence of all government on the time-honored principle of salus populi est suprema lex. Okay? The law is for everyone. Social justice, therefore, must be founded on the recognition of the necessity of interdependence among diverse and diverse units of a society and of the protection that should be equally and evenly extended to all groups as a combined force in our social and economic life. So there is a balance, okay? There is equality between the capitalist, okay? Between the employer and the laborers or the employee. Consistent with the fundamental and paramount objectives of the state of promoting the health, comfort, and quiet of all persons, and of bringing about the greatest good to the greatest number. Okay? That's the essence of social justice. To bring about the greatest good to the greatest number. Okay? So this was illustrated in the case of Maximo Calalang versus Williams. Okay? Social justice. Next is the principle of beneficence. Okay? So the principle of beneficence contemplates that a physician must do good. Okay? It is the provision of benefits, preventing and removing harm. So principle of beneficence, the interest of the patient shall be placed above those of the physician. Okay? The welfare of the patient must be a priority. Societal pressures, financial gains, and administrative exigencies shall not compromise this principle. Okay? Do no harm, even if the pay or the fee is not commensurate to the procedure, but what is considered here is the human life, okay, the sanctity of life. Next principle is primum non nocere, okay, otherwise known as the doctrine of non-maleficence, okay, do no harm. In beneficence, do good. In non-maleficence, or in its Latin term, primum non nocere, do no harm. Okay, it means above all, do no harm. And then there's stringent duty to not injure others. So the foremost responsibility of the physician is to do no harm to the patient. Okay. Now, let's go to Article 2, the general principles. Section 2, the general principles to guide the physicians in the practice of their profession. So the primary objective of the practice of medicine is service to mankind, because a doctor is considered a friend to mankind. So physicians should be upright, diligent, sober, modest, imbued with professionalism, and well-versed in the science, the art, and the ethics of the profession. Okay? As a medical doctor, it is your duty to be knowledgeable, to be skillful, okay? To be ethical towards your patients. Physicians shall promote the health of their patients as their primary consideration. So the health of your client or your patient must be of primordial consideration. It must be your priority. It is not the fee. It is not the fame. Okay, but the health of your patients. Physicians should fulfill the civic duty of a good citizen, must conform to the laws and cooperate with the proper authorities in the application of medical knowledge for the promotion of health and public safety. Next, physicians should work together in harmony and mutual respect. Okay, so you, with your colleagues, there must be no competition. Okay, you must work harmoniously with other fellow medical doctors. Next, physicians should cooperate with other healthcare professionals in the context of interprofessional and collaborative practice in support of better health care. So in a medical setting, the physician, okay, is the leader, okay, the team leader, because in a hospital there is what you call a medical team. So under you are the nurses and other allied professionals, okay, like the medical technologists and so on and so forth. So as a leader, you must work harmoniously with your team, okay, in furtherance of healthcare. Next, physicians, although they have certain rights in relation to their patients, shall always observe the dictum service beyond call of duty. Okay? Because actually, being a physician is a public service. It is a public duty because you are helping other people who are in need. Okay? Now, let's go to Article 3, Professional Responsibilities to Patients. Section 3, Physicians' Responsibilities to Patients. Professional Competence. Physicians shall be committed to lifelong learning. Okay? So if you are a physician, it doesn't mean that you already stopped studying. Okay? You must read, you must study, because being a doctor is a lifelong learning, a lifelong journey. And the dedicated to providing holistic, competent, compassionate medical care while upholding the highest professional and ethical standards and respect for human dignity. Next is patient's trust. The physicians shall maintain a fiduciary relationship. Okay, this relationship is based on trust and confidence with their patients by displaying competence, reliability, integrity, and open communication. Okay, always talk with your patient. Okay, do not be arrogant because some physicians because they think high of themselves. Okay, the other people, okay, even their patients think that they are not approachable. So be humble as a physician. Next is human dignity. Physicians shall be compassionate and approach patient in a courteous and professional manner. Physicians shall conduct physical examination in a modest, caring, and gender sensitive manner. Okay, right now gender is a very sensitive issue. That's why if you are a physician, you must have a gender sensitive manner in treating your patients. Physicians shall ensure that free and informed consent by the patients and precautions to preserve patients' dignity and anonymity prevail at all times. Okay, like what I've said before, the physician-patient relationship is a fiduciary relationship. It is a confidential relationship. That's why anonymity prevail at all times. Next, and it's very sensitive issue, professional fees. The physician shall ensure that professional fees are reasonable and commensurate to the services rendered, nature of the case, time consumed, risk involved, professional standing of the physician, and the financial status of the patient. Okay? So fees, compensation should be commensurate. Okay? You must take into consideration these factors. However, the Philippine Medical Association published a minimum standard. So, do not worry. I will try to secure the minimum fee of a physician and I will give it to you as a reference. Next, disclosure. Physicians shall exercise good faith, honesty, and tact in expressing opinions as to diagnosis, treatment options, risk involved, and prognosis to a patient under their care. Okay? Health teaching is very important in the practice of medicine. So, physicians should discuss with the patient other options. Okay? The physician, the doctor must be harmonious, okay, with your relationship to your patient. Physician shall neither conceal, understate, nor exaggerate the patient's condition. Timely notice of the worsening condition of the patient shall be revealed to him or her and or his or her family. When foreseen and unforeseen complications arise during treatment, patient should be properly informed. Okay, you must tell the patient the truth. Okay, if the patient is dying, tell tell him or her, and then inform the family so that they can prepare. Analysis of the cause of the complications shall provide the basis for appropriate prevention and treatment strategies. The physician shall inform the patient about the need for referral to an appropriate specialist in serious or difficult cases. Okay. Now, this is what the this is referral is important at this point because physicians, medical doctors have their own specialties. That's why they must collaborate with other physicians as a team. So, or when the circumstances of the patient or the family so demand or justify. The physician shall make sure that all communications regarding diagnosis and treatment are understood by the patient and the family or the accompanying relatives. Physicians shall compose understandable, legible, and useful written communications like charts or notes, discharge summaries, treatment plans, referrals, and patient instructions. So documentation is very important in the practice of medicine. Next principle is autonomy or freedom. A physician shall obtain voluntary informed consent prior to performing any procedure or treatment. Okay, this is mandatory. The patient's decision must be based on his or her free will and choice. The physician shall provide all relevant information in a simple and understandable manner, leading patient to either accept or refuse a proposed action. The physician shall inform the patient about the consequence of his or her choice. When a patient is incompetent to decide, the consent must be given by the next of kin or his or her legally authorized representative. Okay? So in the practice of medicine, informed consent is mandatory. It is a condition precedent, a condition sine qua non prior to performing any procedure or treatment. Okay? That is why health teaching is very important. And then after explaining to your patient, you let him or her sign the informed consent. However, if the patient is incapacitated, okay, or he is incompetent, uh, let the next of kin or his legally authorized representative sign the informed consent form. Next, privacy and confidentiality. The physician shall hold as private and highly confidential whatever may be discovered or learned pertinent to the patient even after death. Okay? So even if the patient died, all informations obtained is confidential except when required by law, ordinance, or administrative order in the promotion of justice, safety, and public health. Okay? So these are the exemption of the confidentiality principle. The commitment extends to discussion with persons acting on the patient's behalf. Safeguards shall be applied, especially when using electronic information systems for compiling patient data and when dealing with genetic information. Okay? Right now, we have a law regarding privacy, the Data Privacy Law. And if you breach or violate such law, then you will be penalized by imprisonment or payment of fine. Next is emergent cases. In an emergency, provided there is no risk to his or her safety, a physician shall administer at least first aid treatment and then refer the patient to a more competent physician and appropriate facility if necessary. Okay? So the physician is duty bound to help a person who is under emergency. However, if there is danger in the life of the physician, okay, then he can not to help in order to save himself. Okay. Next, in emergencies, when a decision must be made urgently, when the patient is not able to participate in decision making, and the patient's kin, authorized representative, is not available, physicians may initiate treatment without prior informed consent in such situations, provided that the physicians should inform the patient or authorized representative at the earliest opportunity and obtain consent for ongoing treatment and document the informed consent in the medical record of the patient. So if the patient in emergency situation cannot give consent and there is no relative present, then the physician can okay, directly provide intervention. Okay. Next is decorum and behavior of a physician. The physician shall be free to choose whom they will serve, except in cases of emergency. Of course, in the practice of medicine, there are specialties, there are fields, okay? So you can choose your client. However, exception is in cases of emergency. The physician shall demonstrate professionalism at all times when dealing with the patient, okay? Being a physician, you must be um, respectful because physicians are men or women of integrity. Okay, they must be beyond reproach. The physician shall demonstrate humility, empathy, and compassion towards patient. Next, the physician of his or her, I said before, if the physician is in because his specialty is different, he must refer the case to the proper doctor who has specialized on such condition. Next, the physician shall respect the patient's right to seek a second opinion. Of course, sometimes the finding of a physician is not a gospel truth. Okay, sometimes because all of us are human being, we are prone to mistakes. That's why physician should respect patient. Next, physician shall not exploit pain. Okay, physicians should not make like a bank, a milking cow, because patients come to you because they need to be treated. They need your help. That's why you should respect the rights and needs of the patients. Article 4, Professional Responsibilities to the Healthcare System. Section 4, Physicians' Responsibility to the Healthcare System. Improving quality of care. So this is with respect to the healthcare system. Physicians shall be dedicated to continuous improvement in the quality of healthcare. This entails maintaining clinical through lifelong study and working collaboratively with other outcomes of care and the resources. Okay, so this entails research and continuing education. Physicians shall actively participate in the development and application of better measures of quality of care. Next, improving access to care. Physicians must contribute to improving access to equitable health care by providing appropriate medical services within the different levels of healthcare system in both public and private sectors. Okay, that is why the government has a they work with physicians to be placed in places like doctors in the barrio in order to reach for who will have access to healthcare. Next, cost-effective management of limited healthcare resources. Physicians should place paramount consideration on the cost of the diagnostic and of modalities physicians, okay, the payment, the fees should be commensurate on the ability to pay of your patient. Physicians shall avoid superfluous tests and procedures, unnecessary medical services, unproven remedies which expose patients to possible. So the principle of non-maleficence, do no harm, will set in this situation. additional expense, and inappropriate utilization of limited resources. Next is research. Physicians should obtain the approval of the Institutional Review Board or the Institutional Ethics Board before conducting any form of research while operating in accordance with the national or local regulations as well as with International Council on Harmonization, Good Clinical Practices Guidelines. The physician participating as principal investigator shall exercise full disclosure and ensure that patients or participants are well informed about the difference between physician-patient relationship in clinical practice and patient participation in any form of research. Okay? So if you are a physician that is into research, you must comply with the guidelines of the following agencies. Okay? The physician as a researcher should ensure that research shall be scientifically sound and must meet the following criteria. First, the objectives of the research shall be relevant. Second, there shall be sufficient proof of the concept tested. Results shall contribute to the solution of the research. Next, the research design is appropriate and feasible. Next, research subjects shall be exposed to minimal risk in relation to any risk. And then lastly, research results that improve patient care shall be shared with colleagues in the health profession. Okay? So as a researcher, as a medical doctor who conducts research, you must comply with these following requirements. Now, let's go to Article 5, Professional Responsibilities to the Community. The physician's responsibility to the community. To the government, physicians shall assist the state by participating in the formulation and proper implementation of health policies. Next, acting as expert witness or amicus curiae. So it means the friend of the court when requested in the administration of justice. Okay? Physicians, like lawyers, are also administrators of justice because they give their expert opinion as an expert witness. Next, providing up-to-date and accurate information on health issues, okay? Especially now that there is a pandemic and physicians or healthcare professionals are frontliners. So they must give accurate information on such issue. Next, assisting in the promotion of health and safety. Another principle, duly constituted health authorities. Physicians shall cooperate with the duly constituted health authorities by, okay? So in our setting, the Department of Health is the duly authorized constituted by the government. So educating the community, enforcing measures for the prevention, promotion, management, and rehabilitation in accordance with the existing laws, rules, and regulation. Next, attending to victims in times of epidemic and calamity, except when his or her personal safety is at stake. Okay, like what I said before, during emergency, the physician is duty bound. Okay, it is incumbent upon the doctor to help. The exception is if it poses danger to the life of the physician, then he can opt not to help. Next, increasing the level of awareness of the public and the duly constituted health authorities on the dangers of communicable and non-communicable Another, protection against unlicensed practitioners. It is unprofessional for physicians to aid and abet the practice of medical profession by unqualified and unregistered individuals. Okay, according to the medical law, the practice of medicine is reserved to those people who are licensed physicians. Physicians have the duty and obligation to expose and report to the proper government agencies, unlicensed medical practitioners, charlatans, and quacks, okay, quack doctors, for the protection of the public. Okay? The practice of medicine is imbued with public interest because everything you do affects the public. That is why you must protect the public for against any unlicensed practitioners. Next is promotion of practice. Physicians shall be involved in the promotion of the medical profession. How? First, physician shall not employ agents in the solicitation and recruitment of patients. Okay? You should not ambulance chase. It is called ambulance chasing. Next, for the promotion of medical practice, physicians may use professional cards, internet, directories, and signboard. Okay? In order to yourself, use these things, okay? And be humble in your advertisement. Do not advertise that you are the best doctor in the world because that is unethical and you can be administratively liable. Okay? Remember the three-pronged liability of a physician. Administrative liability, okay? Your license can be revoked or suspended. Civil liability, you will pay in a form of damages. And then criminal liability, you can be imprisoned. So, signboards shall not exceed 1 by 2 meters in size. However, these signboards may be placed by physicians within the confines of his or her clinic or residence. Okay, this is the advertisement part. And then signboards and internet postings should contain only the name of the physician, field of specialty, office hours, and or the office or hospital affiliations. Next, the act of physicians in publishing their personal special certificates or diplomas, postgraduate trainings, specific methods of treatment, operative techniques is not allowed. Okay? Not allowed. However, these matters may be placed by physicians within the confines of his or her clinic or residence. Another matter, media exposure. Physicians involved in media must be well informed of the subject matter under discussion. Only the name of the physician and membership to a society or institution may be mentioned or posted. Okay, this is very common, especially in the TV where doctors are being interviewed. Articles written by the physicians must be evidence-based. They should disclose any potential conflicts of interest if relevant. Physicians shall not commercially endorse any medical or healthcare products. Okay? Like what I've said, the practice of medicine, being a doctor, is imbued with public interest. Okay? The public is the priority. The health of your patient is your primordial consideration. Okay? Fees payment should be commensurate with the ability to pay of your patient. Next is Article 6, physician responsibilities to the profession. Okay? Section 6, responsibilities to the profession. Continuing professional development. Physicians should engage in continuing professional development or CPD. Okay, this is a requirement in PRC. In order to renew your license, you have to attend a continuing learning education, a certain amount of time. Activities that will result in the maintenance of their competence and their fitness to practice the profession on their own or with the support of their own institutions or professional societies. Next is professional interactions. Physicians have an obligation to maintain the good image of the profession and should recognize, avoid, disclose to the general public any conflict of interest that may arise in the course of their professional duties and activities. Proper disclosure of relationship between physicians and businesses should be stated when engaging in activities such as, but not limited to, conducting clinical trials, serving in the relevant committees, writing research papers, serving as an editor of scientific journals, engaging in discussions or in delivering presentation. Okay? So as a professional, you must work with your colleague. Okay? You must have professional interaction in furtherance of your studies. Next is professional decorum. A physician should practice self-regulation and be upright, diligent, sober, and modest when dealing with the public. Okay? He shall be well groomed and dressed appropriately in the workplace. He shall avoid using offensive language. Okay? Because a physician, a medical doctor, being a leader, okay, viewed as a influencer, should be an example. They should act with integrity and humility because there are many people looking up to you. Next article is responsibilities to colleagues in the medical profession. Section 7, physicians' responsibility to their protecting the good name of a colleague. Physicians should strive to protect the good name of your colleague. Okay? However, when complaints are brought to one's attention, the physician is duty-bound to refer such complaints to the proper forum for resolution. Okay? The physician should for the welfare and integrity of his or her colleague. However, if patients has valid complaints, they should refer it to proper authority. Next is professional courtesy to colleagues. If and waive his professional when providing essential and evidence-based medical care to colleagues, spouse, minor, and disabled children and parents. Okay? Other physicians, especially senior physicians, practice this. However, young doctors seldom do this because, of course, they're still building their career. But in the ethics, in your professional code of ethics, it is advised, okay? This includes waiving professional fees in package deals. Next is conflict management among physicians. Whenever there is an unsettled difference of opinions or conflicts among physicians, it should be referred to the proper forum for due process. The conflict may be settled within the ethics committee or the commission of the following: the departments, institution, the Philippine Medical Association. Okay, the Philippine Medical Association is the mother organization for doctors, and then the Professional Regulation Commission for any administrative cases. But if in criminal cases, the courts. Okay, in civil cases, the trial courts. Next is substitution for suspended patient care. In case where a physician has to suspend service in his clinic or hospital, he must make sure that the reliever or substitute physician shall have similar qualifications and shall treat the patient with the same dedication and quality of care extended to his or her own patient. Okay? This is typical when the doctor is out of town or the doctor is maybe suspended or the doctor is sick. Okay? He must refer his patient to equally competent doctor like himself. Moreover, the patient should be duly informed of the patient's consent to the substitution, including professional fees. The care of the patient should be returned to the primary physician as soon as possible. Alternatively, the patient may request transfer of care or hand over to his physician of choice. Okay? However, but the ultimate decision decision maker is the patient. He has the final say. Next is professional compensation. The professional compensation should be reasonable and shall be guided by the patient's capacity to pay, okay? The patient's ability to pay. The standard fees in the community and such other factors as physician's expertise, the difficulty of the case, and the patient's comorbid conditions, okay? However, the Philippine Medical Association has published a minimum standard of fees, okay? I will try to procure such document and I will give it to you for reference. Physicians shall not give nor receive any referral fees. Okay, this is not allowed. Rebates, engage in fee splitting, charge exorbitant fees, and must not engage in ghost practices of the profession. For example, ambulance chasing. Next is emergencies. In an emergency, a physician shall examine and treat a patient and shall continue to provide that assistance until it is no longer required. In case the patient has a private physician, the latter shall be notified of the diagnosis and for further management. In case the patient's private physician is not available, referral to another physician should be made. Okay? Next is sharing expertise with colleagues. The physician shall share his expertise with his colleagues, either in actual care of patients or in scientific lectures, group discussions, bedside rounds, and other educational activities. Okay? There should be continuing learning between the colleagues, between the physicians and the profession. Next article is article number 8, professional responsibilities to allied health professionals. Section 8, responsibilities of the physician to the allied health professionals. Teamwork, like what I said before, in the hospital setting, there is a team, okay? The physician being the leader. Physicians shall work with other members of the allied health professions as a team in a climate of mutual acceptance, responsibility, support, respect, openness, and cooperation. Quality care involves active participation of the health care team in promoting the well-being of the patient. Okay? The physician must work harmoniously with the team and must have respect towards the team, even though he is the leader. Safeguarding interest or dignity. A physician should cooperate with and safeguard the interest, reputation, and dignity of every allied healthcare professionals with whom he shares the common objective of promotion and maintenance of human health. Okay, the principle of respect for human dignity, respect for life is applicable in this situation. And then maintaining propriety. A physician shall observe appropriate relationship when dealing with other allied healthcare professionals. He shall avoid bullying, sexual harassment, abuse or exploitation, unethical practices, and abetment of any wrongdoing. Okay? Because the physician being the leader, okay, sometimes many people would think that you have attitude, okay, you cannot be approached. That's why as a physician you must be open minded, you must be humble, so that people can communicate with you directly, okay. And also you must act ethically and avoid being a bully or harassed persons, your patients or your allied members in the team. Next is legitimate practice. Illegal practice of medicine. Physician shall report to the proper authorities any illegal practice of medicine. A physician is engaged in legitimate practice of medicine when he or she complies with all the requirements imposed by the Board of Medicine to be a licensed physician. Okay? So, you are a medical student. You graduated, okay, in a medical school. After graduation, you applied for PGI, postgraduate internship. And then after rendering the 1 year service, you take the board exam for doctors. And then you pass that board exam. Does it mean you are already a doctor? No, because you still have to process your certificate of registration. So is that the last step? Not again. The final step of being a full-fledged doctor is the taking of your oath, the Hippocratic Oath. At that point in time, you are now considered a full-fledged doctor. However, one requirement, which is a continuing requirement, okay? When you are a student, when you are a medical student, when you are a medical doctor, is good moral character, okay? Without that, your license can be removed or suspended. Without that, you cannot be admitted in medical schools. Good moral character is a condition sine qua non, a condition precedent before entering the medical world. Next article, Article 9, professional relationship with the healthcare product industry. Section 9, physicians' professional relationship with the health industry. Common good. Physicians and the health product industry are partners in providing quality health care. Physicians have the responsibility to provide quality medical care by obtaining accurate, valuable scientific information on the health products to be used in the diagnosis and treatment of patient. Okay? Classic example, medications. Of course, the pharmaceutical companies give exemptives to physicians in order for them to use the product. So as a doctor, you must choose a product based on its result, not based on the incentives given by the pharmaceutical company. Next is ethical and professional conduct. Physicians must ensure that they should not take advantage of the health product industry. Neither should they allow themselves to be exploited in this relationship. Okay? Always bear in mind that the primordial, okay, the priority is the patient. Okay? The primordial consideration, the priority is the health of your patient. The physician should not solicit favors from the biopharmaceutical and medical device companies for personal interest or gain. Physicians shall be guided by the following. Okay, here's the guidance. Physicians should exercise sound judgment, self-restraint, and discipline when participating in activities organized by biopharmaceutical and medical device companies, which may be misconstrued as influencing their prescribing practice. Okay? You must use your judgment. You must be guided by ethics, guided by principles in this code. Next, physicians shall not rely solely on financial support from biopharmaceutical and medical device companies in complying with their requirements for continuing professional development. Next, physicians may be engaged as resource persons in the biopharmaceutical and medical device companies to provide information or advice on topics such as therapeutics, specific needs of patient, product positioning, and pharmacovigilance. This relationship should not bind physician to promote, prescribe, or recommend a particular equipment or product. As a physician, you must only render your expertise. Okay? Should not advertise this product. Always be guided by the principles illustrated in this code. Next, physicians shall not participate in any marketing strategies, including but not limited to special prescription pads, rebates, commissions or raffles, and so on and so forth. Article 10, Penal Provisions. Violation of any section of the Code of Ethics shall constitute unethical and unprofessional conduct and therefore be a sufficient ground for the reprimand, suspension, or revocation of the certificate of registration of the offending physician in accordance with the provision of the Medical Act of 1959 as amended and Republic Act 8981 of the PRC Modernization Act of 2000. Okay, we will be discussing with regards to this law later on. Okay, so like what I've discussed before, there are three-pronged liability of a physician. The administrative liability, where you are suspended or your certificate of registration is removed. The criminal liability, where you can be imprisoned. And the civil liability, where you will pay in form of damages. Article 11, Amendment. This Code of Ethics may be amended as follows. Upon recommendation by PMA Commission on Ethics, upon approval by the PMA Board of Governors, duly ratified by the General Assembly, and upon approval by the Professional Regulation Commission through the Board of Medicine. Okay? So right now, this is the operational code of ethics, okay, for the medical practitioners or medical doctors from the PMA and the PRC. So effectivity, this code takes effect upon adoption by the Philippine Medical Association and the Professional Regulation Commission through the Board of Medicine, and 15 days after the posting in the PMA website and or publication in the newsletter, the physician of the Philippine Medical Association, and publication in a reputable publishing establishment. Okay? Approved by the following: the chairman, the co-chairman, and the president of the PMA, Jose Santiago, and the chairman of the PRC, Honorable Teofilo Pilando. Okay, so this is the code of the professional responsibility for doctors. If you have any question, do not hesitate to ask me, message me anytime. Okay? So that's it for this. Thank you and God bless us all.